witches, Tiffany here. Welcome back to another episode on Bewitching.Bemused. Today I am trying to get caught up. I am pretty far behind on my video requests, so I apologize for that. I'm trying to work through them, but I also have 100 different video ideas, and so several months ago, Ashley Atkins asked for a video on Florida water, so here it is. I'm sure most of you have at least heard of Florida water because it is a staple in many practices for many different people, many different traditions. But what most people don't know is that Florida water has a very mundane background. In 1808, New York City perfumer, that's right, perfumer, Robert I. Murray debuted Florida water as a light-scented unisex perfume or cologne. It was marketed as something that could be used as an actual perfume worn on the skin, or perhaps in a lady's satchel that they wore. You could also use it to freshen linens or put it into your bath. Now, despite the name Florida water, it actually has an alcohol base, just like, most perfumes. And its main scents are spicy, floral, and citrusy. I'm not gonna go into the whole background of Murray's company, but nowadays it is called, wait, I can't remember, hold on. Landman and Kemp Barclay Company Incorporated. I was not gonna be able to memorize that. According to their website, which you can actually go on, like right now, I will link it down below because you can go on there to purchase Florida water, but it says that their formula has not been changed. It is still the original 1808 concoction. And the label has only slightly been tweaked over time. The label depicts the Fountain of Youth, and that's because it used to be believed that the fabled Fountain of Youth was in Florida. Extra fun fact, Florida water was actually mentioned in the novel Gone with the Wind. Interesting. Okay, great. So that's its mundane early life. How did it get to be used in magical practices? Florida water was an extremely popular cologne, and it could be found in pretty much any general store or pharmacy. And over time, nobody's really sure as to when or why, but over time, people did begin to use it for medicinal properties. It was applied topically for things like lowering a fever or soothing a headache. And that totally makes sense because a lot of the essential oils that were used in it came from ingredients that had been used for hundreds of years for these purposes, as well as for their other medicinal properties. But those were just everyday people. Those weren't necessarily witches using it for those reasons. So how did it become a staple in magical traditions such as hoodoo and Santeria, as well as other southern United States, as well as Caribbean magical practices? Well, that's the part that you can't really find anywhere. Well, it's very possible that people started noticing the benefits of using it as things other than just a perfume or just for smelling nice, and that people inclined towards herbal work, understanding the other properties or correspondences of its ingredients, would incorporate it into their practice. But it makes more sense to assume that it's tied to slavery, both assuming the location and time of when Florida water became a thing, and the fact that how it was incorporated into magical practice can't be found anywhere. I mean, sure, we've lost a lot of history regarding paganism and different magical traditions, but if it's a tradition that was founded based in slave communities, kind of makes even more sense that it's not recorded anywhere. Like I said, it was a very popular perfume, so it's also fairly easy to jump to the conclusion that yes, many slaves probably used it to spritz on the linens and pour in the baths of those that enslaved them. Then of course there's the fact that most slaves had to keep their own religious and spiritual beliefs a secret. They had to practice in secret, so it was simply easier to use items that were already on hand. So what can it be used for? Before I jump into this, I do want to repeat one more time. This is an alcohol-based ingredient. So please, 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 do not use it to cleanse your candles, do not use it to anoint your candles, and in general, avoid using it anywhere near an open flame or heat source. It is highly flammable. Also, whether you are purchasing it pre-made or making it yourself, sometimes it is made with fresh or dried herbs, and sometimes it's made with essential oils. Please keep in mind, not all essential oils are safe for the skin. So if you are mixing this yourself with essential oils, you do want to make sure you are diluting it properly And also, of course, alcohol and essential oils can sometimes damage certain surfaces, so just look it all up and do patch tests and just be safe about it, okay? That said, for the most part, Florida water is used for purification, cleansing, and blessing. However, it can also be used for raising positive energy in general, as well as for protection. So you can straight up use it how it was originally intended. Spray it on yourself, on your clothes, spritz it on your linens, your curtains, your carpets, or pour a little bit into your bath water. Those are all great ways to cleanse your space, cleanse yourself, do a spiritual and physical ritual bath, and as well as to, guard yourself from negative energy throughout the day. Of course, another major use for it is to dilute it with water in a bucket and use it as a floor or wall wash. You can use it in either, spritz style or have it diluted in a bucket and soak a rag in it and use it to cleanse your altar, cleanse your tools, not the candles, and even to cleanse any crystals. But again, always make sure that your crystals are safe for water, and just look into all of it. I don't want anybody destroying a super expensive crystal and being like, Tiffany, you didn't tell me. If you want to use it to cleanse your space, but you're worried about using it directly on a surface, you can leave an open bowl or jar of it in your home to absorb negative energy, or put one on your altar, either to do the same or as an offering. You can also substitute holy water in spells with Florida water. If you're doing a quick cleanse of yourself before or after a ritual, you can just, wash your hands with it, or perhaps have a little bottle or jar of it in your car or in your purse. And that way, if you end up shaking hands with somebody and you're just this person is giving really bad vibes, or you're in a place where you're touching things, but overall you're just getting a really negative impression of the place, just, real quick, wash your hands with it. You can use it to anoint your chakra points to help work through some of your blockages. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, you can dab a little bit on your forehead or on your temples to help with a fever, a headache, and you can also use it on bug bites. But again, just look up the ingredients. So how do you get your hands on some? Well, there are lots of stores online, as well as some beauty stores and metaphysical shops that you can go to, in person to purchase some. You can also make your own. Like I said, the website that creates the original formula is still up and running. You can buy them for bulk on their website, or you can go, I think they have a map on there that tells you where you can shop locally for it. A link to that website is down below in the description box. One fun thing about making your own is that it doesn't have a hard and fast recipe. I don't think the original formula that the company that made Florida water used has ever become public, and so we found ways to adapt over time. But it does typically have 4 groups of ingredients. So you have your citrusy, you have your blessing herbs, you have your floral, and you have your spices. In just a moment, I will give you examples of different types of each of those categories that you can go with. But I do want to stress that the great thing about making it yourself is if you want to use this Florida water for something very specific, not just to have kind of a general batch on hand, it's great making it yourself because you can personalize it and get specific with those details. So your base is going to be 80 proof vodka. Get the cheap stuff. Let me just tell you right now, get the cheap stuff. It doesn't make a difference. This is going to be the base of your Florida water, and you will add your herbs or your essential oils to it. So there are 3 different ways to make this. And one thing that you should factor in is how soon you're going to need it. If you need it right now, then what you would want to do is take your vodka and add in your essential oils, and boom, it's ready to go. If you are using dry or fresh herbs and ingredients, then you're going to either want to cook it, which is fairly quick as well, takes about an hour, or you can add them to your bottle or jar of vodka. Put them in a cool, dry place and let them sit for about a month. You'll want to check on it every few days, top off the vodka if you need to, give it a little swirl, but then after that, you're done. Which one you go with, it just kind of depends on how soon you need it, what kind of ingredients you prefer working with, and just gut instinct. If you perhaps work with the moon a lot and you want to set it out every night under the moon for the full moon cycle, then yeah, you might want to go with the longer route. But if you work a lot with oils, you're very comfortable with oils, maybe you want to go that route. So it's up to you. If you are cooking it on the stove, you are going to heat the full bottle of vodka in a big old pot. Add your dry ingredients and allow them to simmer for about 10 minutes. After that, add your fresher ingredients and allow that to cook for another 35 to 45 minutes. Again, just keep it on medium, low heat, just allow it to simmer. With any of these 3 ways of creating it, the way you'll know it's done is if the smell of the ingredients overpowers the smell of the booze. Personally, I like to cook mine on stovetop, and what I will do is I like to go by instinct, adding my ingredients, like not with precise measurements, but just kind of feel it out. And as it's cooking, I'll check on it. I may add a little more of this, a little more of that, allow it to cook a bit longer. I just personally, I'm not making a cake. It doesn't have to be precise in my measurements or it's gonna, overflow or sink in. So I like to go with my gut, just follow my instincts with it, smell it out basically. But if you're really worried about it, there are much more precise recipes that you can find online. There are plenty of them, but a lot of them are very specific of, this much allspice and this much lemongrass and I just like to give you guys a little bit more wiggle room so you can personalize it and use what works for you. For our citrus category, you can use lemon peels, lime peels, oranges, or tangerine peels. Lemongrass and bergamot oils also work great. For floral, you can use rose water or rose petals, lavender or jasmine. For your blessing herbs, rosemary, bay leaves, sage, basil, or mint are all great options. And finally, for spice, you have cinnamon sticks, allspice, and cloves. Just keep in mind that if you're using the actual herbs as opposed to essential oils, once you're done cooking it or steeping it, you are going to want to strain those items out. So I don't recommend using something like ground cinnamon. You'll want to use the actual stick. Use a full lemon peel as opposed to lemon zest. That's all I've got for you today, witches. But remember, this Sunday, March 21st at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is our next live stream, so come prepared with your questions. I'm super excited to hang out with all of you again. If you can't make it, don't worry, it will be posted on the channel afterward. And if you have any quick questions that you want answered, but again, you're not going to be able to actually be there with us, feel free to email those over to me. But I do hope to get to see all of you at the actual live stream so we can interact in real time, because that's always great. In the meantime, please hit that thumbs up and I'll talk to you all then.